Ahead of UFC 323 this Saturday, we are joined by no one better to break it down than UFC Hall of Famer and former two-division world champion Daniel Cormier. DC, how's it going, man?
I'm good, man. Thank you for having me.
Now, I have been waiting a long time for this interview, and I have done all my research. I've talked to Islam Makhachev, I've talked to Max Holloway, members of the Nurmagomedov camp. DC, you seem like such a jovial guy. Why is everyone always bullying you?
Because I'm so jovial, because I'm so happy all the time that they just forget that I was the baddest man on the planet at one point. But the reality is, I've created a life for myself that is so comfortable that I don't mind them bullying me. The only problem I have, now I said to Hamzat Chimaev, I go, listen, you guys have to stop picking me up. I am not a child. It's okay to pick up, what is this, House Bulan, but don't pick me up. They were like grabbing me and lifting me. I'm like, okay, it has to stop with the lifting. Everything else is fair game.
Well, at least you didn't get the Mike Tyson treatment where he starts nibbling on Hasbullah's ear, right?
Why would Mike goes, I thought he was a baby. He thought Hasbulla was a child.
No, I'm sure we could wax poetic about the insanity of MMA and boxing all day, but we do have UFC 323 on the horizon. I would like to start here. The big storyline heading into this fight: Merab Dvalishvili on the cusp of becoming the only fighter in 32 years to notch 4 successful UFC title defenses in a calendar year. How
Yeah.
impressive will it be if Merab achieves this, and why is it something that has eluded every fighter up till this point?
Let me tell you something. As a guy that was the champion, and in 2018, I fought 3 times. It was the biggest year of my career in terms of winning and defending championships. I could not have imagined doing it again. It's almost impossible to get up for the most dangerous guy in the division 4 times in a calendar year. There are some people in mixed martial arts that think it's almost a respecting the heart, how hard the sport is. You have to have too much respect for the sport than to camp after camp after camp without the idea that you might fail. Merab doesn't think that. Merab wants to set history, and the guy just loves fighting. He loves being in there. The weight cut is hard, doesn't matter. It gives him an opportunity to go out there and do what he loves to do, and that's fight. It's hard though, Shaq. I'm telling you, I fought 3 times and defended that belt 3 times, and after that year, I took a year off to try and recover because I was so run down and so beat up. This guy's done it 4 times in the calendar year. If he wins, unbelievable.
You mentioned the weight cut. He spoke to Merab did to our colleague Brian Campbell, and the weight cut is something he kept kind of bringing up as, the only part of this whole process that he doesn't like. We saw how successive weight cuts might have hurt Caio Borralho in that fight with Nasruddin Imavov. I
Yep.
know Merab is the machine. I know he has a work ethic like no other, but how big of a risk is it for him to be doing this, having to put his body through that cycle so often?
I think that is where some of these people that question his ability to do it multiple times thinks about this as the problem. Because Merab also cuts weight the old school way. So what he does is, this is crazy. He doesn't do the way that the UFC PI wants with nutrition and kind of gradually bringing the weight down. He actually doesn't cut weight until fight week. And then when he gets to like Wednesday, he completely shuts himself off from any hydration, any food. So he essentially starves himself from Wednesday to Friday to make the weight. And then he tries to recover before he gets into the octagon. That is why he hates the weight cut so much, because he knows that starting yesterday, he's pretty much done with intaking anything before he steps on that scale on Friday. That is the danger for a guy like Merab, because the weight cut is so difficult. To put his body through that 4 times in one calendar year is crazy. And the consistent fighting, even for the best, at times have proven to become an issue. The great Alex Pereira was fighting over and over and over, and then he got beat. And then he took 9 months off, came back and fought the same guy and knocked him out in a round, right? So there is something to that theory that you can do it too much. I just don't know if it affects a guy like Merab.
I saw this video online recently of Merab sniffing slices of pizza while eating a
Bro.
cucumber. I know you like to eat like I do, DC. Is this like a genius hack or just straight up crazy talk?
It's
We have the
crazy,
video.
bro.
What the heck?
It's crazy. He was at it. I'm like, Merab, were you licking the pizza? He goes, no, I was sniffing it and eating cucumbers. He said, because I get the smell of the pizza and then I get to eat the healthy food. I was like, yo, this is crazy. Why are you sitting there with your friends as they're eating pizza? And can you call these guys great friends? Look at him. One sticking the pizza in Merab's face to show him, yeah, you can't have this. And you know what's the worst part about that? That whole meal is provided by Merab. The great environment that they're in is provided by Merab in his fighting. They should be going through the suffering to live the life that Merab is providing for them.
Oh man, as someone who is constantly congested, I think smell is most of the taste. So maybe he's onto something. Let's look co-main event. There's this stat that is often brought up about UFC fighters in the lower weight classes, age 35 and up, and how much they struggle in title fights. For a long time, Tyron Woodley was the exception. We've since seen Volk do it, Valentina do it, Bilal do it, and Alexandre Pantoja earlier this year. However, heading into this fight against a young Josh Van, based on how you've seen Pantoja develop, will he continue to be an exception to the rule, or will we begin to fall victim to it?
Well, he seems that way, right? He seems like a guy that has everything going in the right direction. He is a kid that came from Brazil with not much and has built a career that is outstanding, but he's also built a team around him that continues to make him better. He went from winning the belt in absolute dogfights to his last two title defenses, it looked like he barely broke a sweat. So they talk about aging well, right? Like fine wine. That's Pantoja. This dude, last two fights have been submissions against guys that were thought to be tough. But Josh Van is young, he's hungry, and I don't know that Josh Van understands what's in front of him. And there's something to having that youthful type of like ignorance that allows you to go and compete at a different level. So yeah, I think Josh Van is dangerous. I think that he's as good as anyone he's fought, and he's young and he's hungry, and he just isn't aware enough of how dangerous Pantoja is to approach him any different than he would approach anybody else that he's fought inside the octagon. This is gonna be a great fight. This fight's gonna be insane.
DC, UFC 323 marks the final pay-per-view seemingly forever in UFC history as we move to the Paramount Plus era in January. All numbered events, all fight nights included with your regular subscription. What impact do you think this change will have for the fans and on the sport as a whole?
It's unbelievable. You know, the pay-per-view model has been a part of the UFC since the very beginning of fighting. And it has been a model that has allowed for guys like me who could sell pay-per-views to do better. But now with the changes to the contract and to the TV rights deal, the fighters are actually going to get paid more money because there's more money to pay the fighters. And it's also going to be better for the fans because now it's free. You get your Paramount subscription. Not only do you get all the TV shows, you get the UFC now and the numbered events without paying the $75, $69.99, whatever it costs at this point. It's unbelievable. I think it's a great benefit to the fans to be able to catch every UFC and also to get it in places that are generally just there for you. I'm talking the Paramount app or at times on CBS and other channels on the network. So I think it's amazing. I think it's a big deal for the UFC. I think it's a big deal for the fighters. And I think it's a big deal for the fans. And anytime it's good for the fighters, the fans are all behind it. And I believe they recognize how important this is, this Paramount deal for the UFC. You know what they tried to make me do yesterday? You know what the social media team tried to make me do yesterday?
DC.
This is the craziest thing ever. So I'm at media day. The social media team has these fake tattoos. And they're like, hey, DC, every time you do something on social media, it's amazing. They're like, how about this one? It said UFC on Paramount. They said, we want to put a removable tattoo, and we'll ask you if you're excited about it, and I'll be like, you'll say no. And as you walk away, you'll have one of those fake tattoos on the lower part of your back. I go, I got to draw the line somewhere. I'm not putting that UFC on Paramount on my back. That is crazy, man. But yes, people are excited to the point that they're putting fake tattoos now at the UFC.
Risky choice. I mean, there's a lot of places you can put a fake tattoo. I wonder who's called out was TC. I'm proud of you for standing by your laurels here, though.
Why?
UFC 324, Paddy Pimblett versus Justin Gaethje, Kayla Harrison versus Amanda Nunes. That is January 24th on Paramount Plus. Everything starting January. Before that, though, we have UFC 323 taking place this Saturday. DC Champ, I want to thank you for your time as we take a look at the main card.